XG is now doing the Oceania leg of their tour, having performed in Sydney and Melbourne. And now we've seen something quite different and challenging, which I personally support 100%. They decided to pull back the playbacks, specifically the vocal playback, which is the backing track that supports the singer's voice while they're performing. It's not the one they hear in their in-ear monitor, but the one we hear. This helps provide support if the singer needs it, in case they make a mistake, but also when they need to perform choreography. To dance, it's necessary to lower the voice, so this playback gives that support. In group performances, they kept it as usual, but in the solo parts, they pulled it back significantly. And I really love that. Let's watch Juria performing Hero by Mariah Carey, a song about overcoming challenges. It's a very deep song, but Mariah Carey is simply Mariah Carey. So Juria is being quite bold by taking on this song. But I watched the video, and Juria really, I only heard it once, and it already gave me chills. So let's watch again, and see what she delivers to us technically.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't.
Just 1 second of her singing, and I can't even process her vibrato. That vibrato is straight from the Michael Jackson school, from the tradition of Black American pop music of that era. Not just that, but also from jazz and blues, especially from Michael Jackson and the pop music surrounding him, including female voices, Mariah Carey herself, and everyone within that universe. It's that style, but she executes it masterfully, with great volume and power.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart.
And she doesn't lose the nasal quality of her voice. She's using a mixed frontal voice placed in the mask, but also using vocal covering. I'm not sure if she's intentionally projecting by using vocal covering, opening her soft palate, and letting the voice flow out. But she has insane projection in a very low range for her. If she were a contralto, but I don't think she is. She's probably a mezzo or even a soprano. In fact, someone please ask her this somewhere, what her voice type is, or if anyone knows, please comment here what her classification is. But I believe that's the case. Her volume is huge, and she keeps the focus on the nasal quality of her voice.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid.
Using whisper voice, a breathy vocal tone.
There's an answer. If you reach into your soul, in the sorrow that you know will melt away.
It's truly an incredible vocal phrasing. Then she does this glissando, this sequence of notes where she stays on a single vowel and does the flourish of notes. And here she switches from mixed voice to falsetto and back within this very pattern and with controlled volume. This girl is really good.
In the sorrow that you know will melt away.
She did a transition here that is also. She transitioned from chest or mixed voice went up to falsetto and returned, but you can't perceive the moment. You can't tell where she switched.
If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer. If you
I rewound too much here, but did you notice that she also did that melisma on the low notes? And with an impeccable level of precision.
reach into your soul in the sorrow that you know.
Here she transitioned registers back and forth seamlessly.
Moments away.
Using the yodel where she makes a vocal break as if she's crying, which I never know how to execute. Forgive me, I'm a classical singer. But she breaks into falsetto and returns, which gives it a crying or sobbing effect. And she returns to the lower range in a spectacular way as well.
Moments away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside.
This note is a quarter tone off. Yes, I'll point out the tiniest flaw she had, the only one in the entire song. But she did it more than once, and it's an imprecision due to the register. At this moment, she is emphasizing the vocal, so her resonance moves a bit from her nose to her mouth. So she makes some internal adjustment, where she places it differently, and she loses precision. So the note ends up a quarter tone off from where it should be. So, from here to here is a whole tone. Here you have a half tone. So she stays here. Between half a tone and the tone, she should be reaching. It fluctuates, but it's really minimal. Perhaps only a singer's ear would notice, but it's a matter of register placement. This is just that picky musician thing. In the final result, few will notice.
With the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside.
When she goes for this high note, maybe the problem is this, because she goes to a head or falsetto note, which is hard to identify in her voice, and she comes back to this area where she's directing the vocal. Maybe that's where the issue lies.
You can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong.
That note was very beautiful. She had every reason to sing it with great volume, although it wouldn't match this song's intro where she's doing something more reflective and delicate. A certain introspection, she's trying to emphasize this idea. But she would do it in her full voice, strong and powerful. Maybe she'd do it later, but I don't remember now. But this delicacy is beautiful and with volume.
So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you.
That break she does, that's yodel. I don't know how to do it, but you break into falsetto and return. And she does it really well. It fits perfectly with the mood of the song, the idea behind this song's lyrics.
And be strong, and you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you.
The woman is really good.
If When you face the world alone, no one reaches out there for you to hold. You can find.
Wow. The lowest note she hit here came out perfectly rounded because she was on an O. And O.
É o A.
They are vowels that make it very easy to place the note in the register because they are open.
A, O.
Everything opens inside, making placement much easier. And she hit the last note down here. Perfectly placed and powerful. Impressive. By the way, this video is on Kayla's channel, and most of the videos I'm watching of her are from Kayla because she always gets a good position. And her phone's microphone, or whatever it is, has good quality.
No one reaches out there for you to hold. You can find love if you search within
There's vibrato everywhere. She places it wherever she wants.
yourself, and the emptiness you feel will disappear. And then a hero comes.
Here she had a register in precision. On the highest note of this melisma she did, because she was on the syllable. So remember what I said. Open up our entire laryngeal, pharyngeal, and palatal cavities. So it's easy. The entire musculature allows the sound. Project. But when you pronounce the syllables,
I, E, e o A,
they close. So you need to open the resonance for the registers. But you have a vowel that forces you to close. So it's normal that you don't reach some notes, especially in a high region. It's an issue that Chiza also struggles with a lot. Struggles, in quotes, because she and Chiza are playing a different game. In the game of great difficulty, which they dare to play, and which they can play because they have the caliber for it. So they have to deal with it.
Will disappear.
It's the highest note in this sequence.
And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you find.
Again, she makes transitions with an unbelievable smoothness. The song carries her identity. She didn't want to be another Mariah Carey performing it. So, everything fits within the particularity of her timbre and also how she usually places the resonances and the registers, especially with this nasal quality. She could have changed it, but she chose to keep it.
So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth that a hero lies in you.
Another thing you might notice, before reaching the climax we're about to enter, she smiles. This brings a quality to her sound, which is characteristic of smiling. She opens like this, so she gains a bit. She gains more openness on some notes, and this makes it easier for her belting, where naturally she gains more metal-like tones, but also more metallization and brightness in her voice, and this Smile enhances it, which is already a feature of her natural voice that she keeps and emphasizes even more. So what I'd like to say is that she's not just smiling to be friendly. She also smiles as a vocal interpretative resource. Totally directed into the nose, and she doesn't change the characteristic. She wants the song to have her style, and that's wonderful. It's her interpretation, and you won't hear Mariah Carey here. You'll hear Juria. That's wonderful, and I really like it. Her voice isn't placed in the palate, like Chiza would do, for example. Chiza would have that ultra-projected voice, resonating upwards, big, rounded, and closer to Mariah Carey's style. But Juria kept it. No, I want it to be 100% my voice. She directs it right here, from the palate, the upper back part of the palate, specifically the soft palate, but also the hard palate. And she brings it here. Of course, she has a lot of volume, because she was using mixed voice with open belting, but she doesn't rely as much on covering the sound. She keeps her voice directed here. And that Ando sound from Mariah Carey is huge. A very full Ando, but hers stays here, and yet, there is no loss of volume.
Oh no.
She does this here, in falsetto, just like I did now. But you can't tell where she entered, or when it happened. It's unbelievably subtle. Keeping proportions in mind, someone who does this masterfully is Remy, from Baby Monster. I'm talking about Baby Monster in an XG video, but every time I talk about XG in a Baby Monster video, but I'll mention them, because they are all amazing singers. But she is also a singer who, you can't tell when she transitions between registers. That's amazing, because that's exactly how it should be done. Now everything is up here. Technique from start to finish. Every note with intention. She interprets every single one. In everything, she applies technique. And it's very aligned with the song's lyrics, which is a really thoughtful, reflective song. So she shaped the peaks and climaxes of the song with full registers, with great projection. But she held back on the volume. She did it with a balance that you can't even imagine. So her interpretation is flawless. It's also admirable that she maintained her vocal identity, as I said. It's an interpretation choice. But she knows exactly what she's doing. She demonstrated a technical mastery that is simply absurd. She was a true monster, a music monster. She is truly on another level. It's so good to listen to her performing separately from the group. It's great that the company allows her to perform and be the singer that she is. Because I've mentioned this in some videos about BTS, where I make a so-called criticism, but actually, I'm defending the guys. But I do critique the overall K-pop industry policies. The reality is that pop has a different approach. It's not meant to be music that is overly complex, either melodically or technically, surprisingly enough. So it ends up bringing singers down to a lower level. Even if you have multiple 10 out of 10 singers, they end up being leveled down to a 5 or 6 out of 10. So regardless of each singer's skill level, they all get placed at the same level within what the studio produces. So all of her incredible quality just doesn't come through in the studio. That's the reality. And for any pop singer worldwide, this is how it works. Michael Jackson performed with a live band. Michael Jackson performed with a live band. End of discussion. Yes, I'm throwing a little shade at XGLX. XG should perform with a live band, period. This is my personal opinion, but I'm really waiting for that to happen. I'm from rock and metal, and many XG fans are also rock and metal fans. That's the sound we like, where we can truly hear the singer's quality. Of course, for this song, an instrumental wasn't even necessary. But for songs where an instrumental is needed, it would be great if it weren't so synthetic, allowing them to shine with their technical skills. And I mentioned Michael Jackson precisely because he recorded in the studio. But live, it was all him, his voice. So, this girl is spectacular, a monster in music, no doubt. She and Chiza, truly. And I'll talk about Chiza in another video, but she's also facing challenges, pushing her limits more and more, and paying the price for it, with some mistakes. And I know she sees them as mistakes too, because I can tell what she's doing. But both of them are amazing, and Juria's technical level is flawless in this song, except for those two small inaccuracies I mentioned, which are not criticisms at all, but, as I said, it's the risk you take when attempting complex techniques. These things happen, that's the reality of live performance. But to avoid giving this performance a 100 out of 100, since I pointed out to things, I'll give it a 99.7 or 99.8. Simply amazing. Incredible job, Juria. And I hope that when you come to Brazil, you perform this piece live. If this video reaches you, please perform this piece. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment and a like below. Subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, and consider supporting through the super thanks button or via PayPal, linked in the first pinned comment. Alright, see you next time.